All right, guys, in today's video, what you're going to be doing is go to your packet, go to day 2, and we're going to be solving systems by graphing. All right, so what we're doing is we've done this like last semester. You're basically going to graph 2 lines, and those 2 lines, wherever those 2 lines cross is your solution. All right, so you're going to have one function going one way, one going the other, and at some point those lines cross, and that's going to give you a point. Okay, that's going to give you a coordinate, and that's going to be the answer we're going to be looking for. Okay, make sure you guys get a ruler or something to graph with. I don't have a ruler on me because I'm doing this at home, so I'm just going to grab another pencil. Okay, but just make sure you have something, a straight edge to graph nice straight lines. Okay, so remember, you've got 2 equations. Okay, so we'll call this equation 1 and we'll call this equation 2. And what we're going to do is we're going to graph each of those together on the same graph. Let me zoom in this for you guys. And then come up with an answer here. Okay. All right. So remember that we're going to start with the first equation. I graph the second number, which is your y-intercept. Because remember that the b is our intercept. Okay. So if it's -4, I go down to 4. Okay. And I graph a point. And then the first number, the 3, that's our slope. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so if that's 3, that means the slope is 3/1, which means from that point, the intercept, I go up 3 and right 1. Okay, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, or sorry, 1, 2, 3, right 1. 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 And then I go back down the other way. And notice I'm drawing as many points as I can to the right, and I'm going to do the same thing to the left. So instead I go down 1, 2, 3, left 1 this time. 1, 2, 3, left 1. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the other line. Okay, I start with the 6, and since it's +6 this time, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and then the slope of this line is 1/2, which means I go up 1 and then right 2. Okay, so now from that intercept, I go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, and then notice that that is the same point as the last line. That's going to be where your solution is. Okay, so I'm going to do a couple more points going to the right, up 1/2. That's good for that. And then I'm going to go back a few the other way. Down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2, down 1, left 2. And again, the reason I'm doing more points is to make sure I get a straight line. But what I'm actually looking for, and my answer is going to be that point right there. That is actually my solution. Okay, so before we write our solution, I'm going to get a nice straight line here. So get your ruler. Remember, I have these on the counter in my room. Or just grab something straight. You notice I'm just using literally another pencil. Okay, you can use almost anything to draw a straight line. Okay, put arrows on the end to show that it goes on forever. And now we're going to write our answer. Okay, so where the 2 lines cross, that's called the point that it intersects. Okay, the point of intersection. Okay, so the point of intersection where it crosses. And remember, we write that as x and y value or coordinate. So to get to that point, I go over 4. So that if I go over 4 to the right, that means the x value is 4. And then to get up to that point, it's 8. So that means the y value is 8. And that is my answer. Okay, that's the final answer we're looking for, is that point right there. Okay, so the next one is the same thing. We're going to graph the 2 lines and figure out where they cross. This one we start at 3. So I go up 3. Then the slope is -2. Remember, if it's just a 1 number by itself, you put it over 1. And this time it's negative, so I go down 2 and then right 1. Okay, so I'm going to go down 2, 1, 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1, and just keep on going. Do as many as I can. And then I'm going to go up the other way. go up to left 1. Remember, we go reverse. Up to left 1, up to left 1. Okay, and now I'm going to do the next one. Now notice the next one doesn't have like any numbers written in here, right? So if there's nothing after the x, that means the y-intercept where you start is 0. So I start right in the middle because 0 is the origin, right in the middle of the graph. And then there's no number in front of x, which means the slope is 1. Or, in other words, 1 over 1. Okay, so that means I'm going to go from that point in the middle, go up 1 over 1, and then notice, boom, I'm already at my solution, which is where the two lines meet or where they cross. But I'm going to go ahead and draw a few more points just to make sure I draw a nice straight line. Up 1 over 1, 1 over 1, 1 over 1, and I'll draw a few more this way. Down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1. Okay, so just get out your ruler or your straight edge, and now draw that straight line. Again, anything can be pretty much a straight edge. Okay, put arrows on the end to show that it keeps going. And again, where they meet is the solution. To get to that point, I go over 1 to the right, and then up 1, so the y value is 1. Okay, so that's your answer there. Okay, so now going on down to this one in the middle. Okay, so now, again, the first one, there's no number after the x, so that means that the number is 0. So this one I start right in the middle. And then the slope is 3 over 2, and it's positive, so that means that we're going to go up 3, right 2, from that point we just put. So up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2, up 3, right 2. And then I want to go back down the other way. Down 3, left 2. I just go backwards. Instead of going up 3, I go down 3. Instead of going right 3, I go left 3. Down 3, left 2, down 3, left 2. Notice that the first graph that I always draw, I always do as many points as I can because I don't know where the next graph is going to line up with the first graph. So I do as many points as I can, and then once I line up, then I just draw a few more points to make sure that I get a straight line. Okay, so now this one's a little different because you notice that there's no x in this problem. This one these two have an x, these two have an x. This first one has an x, but that doesn't. So what that means is that that 9 is actually where you start because that number doesn't have an x. That's your intercept. So I'm going to go down to -9 and start there. Now there is no number with x, and if there's no number with x, that means that your slope or your m is 0, which then means essentially this is if you guys remember, this is a flat line that has no slope. So all I need to do is basically draw a straight line that goes straight across. But notice if I'm going straight across, that means that to get to the point where they intersect or meet, I basically just go straight across to there, and boom, there's my point where they cross at. That's my answer. And I'm just going to draw like one more point to the right. Anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Okay, you can draw it anywhere along there. It just has to be a straight line. Okay, so now I'm going to draw a straight line all the way along -9 down here. This will be easier with a ruler. But again, I'm using what I got since I'm doing this at home. All right, there we go. There's the two lines. That's my solution. So to get to that point, if I start in the middle, I go left 6, which means then the x value is -6. And then I have to go from there down all the way down 9. And if I go down, that means that the answer is -9. So then your solution is -6, -9. Okay. All right, one more example here. Okay, so again, these are all the same thing. You're just graphing two equations, trying to figure out where they cross. So first one, I start at -2. So I go down 2, draw my first point. The number in front of x is -1. So that's a -1 right there. And remember, if it's just a whole number, I put it over 1. So that means I'm going to go down 1, right 1. from there. So down 1, right 1, down 1, right 1. And I'm going to go back up the other way. When the slope is just 1, and you end up drawing a lot of points. Because now I went down left 1, right 1, down 1, right 1, but now I'm going up 1, left 1, just going backwards. So I'm not going to draw all the points there, just because I have a feeling it's going to cross somewhere in the middle there. It's not going to cross all the way on the edges. If I have to, I'll draw more points if I need to. Okay, so the next one, the second, remember, you start with the second number. So I'm going to go up 3 because it's plus 3. And then my slope is positive 2 over 3. So I'm going to go up 2, right 3 from that point. So up 2, right 3, up 2, right 3, up 2, right 3. Okay, I can't go any further, and I know that it's going to cross going this way. So that means I'm going to go down 2, left 3, and boom. You can see that that's where the answer is. Right there. There's my solution. But I'm going to go ahead and continue. So I'll draw just like one more point probably. Down 2, left 3. So at least like 5 points. And here I've got 6. Should be enough to draw my line. Okay. So I'm going to write my solution first before I actually draw my lines here. So to get to that answer, that's where the points meet. I go left 3. So that means that if I go left 3, the x is negative 3. And then I go up 1. So then the y value is positive 1. Okay, and there's my answer. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish. The last thing I need to do here is to draw the line. Okay, and connect all those dots. Put arrows on the end. And that is it. Okay, you don't have to draw this arrow. I'm just kind of emphasizing that's where you guys are going. Okay. All right, so that's it. So now for your homework for this section, you are completing these 4 problems for graphing. Okay, and then there's some review problems down here, which I'm going to go over right now as well, because we haven't gone over this stuff in a while, and I'm sure some of you guys need some refresher. Okay, so mark this one as homework. This whole page right here, everything here is going to be homework. Okay, but I'm going to go over some of these ones on the bottom. Okay, so all this stuff is the same thing. This is, you start with this number, all these second numbers here. Okay, the 8, the 3 here, the -4, the -1. Those are the numbers you start with on your graph. Okay, then the first number in the equation is your slope. There's a 1 there, there's a 6 there, 2, a -1. Okay. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to go over some of these. Okay, if it says to evaluate, that means you're going to take the number they give you, which is this one, the x equals whatever number they say x is equal to, x equals 5, x equals 10, x equals 97, x equals -2, and you're going to plug that into the expression they give you. Okay, so for instance, this one, I'm going to take that 5 and plug it into x here and there. So remember, when you plug it in, I write parentheses and replace the x, or instead of the x. So here again, parentheses again, and then I write the square, the 2, and now I need to calculate that. You guys need to figure out how much is that. Okay, multiply 7 times 5, and then remember 5 squared is 5 times 5, and then add those together. Okay, and then you get your answer. Okay, now this one, remember that these bars right here are absolute value. So that means I'm going to make everything positive. But first, I need to plug that in. So I'm going to draw those bars, -10 plus 7. And then what you need to do is you have to add up the inside first. So -10 plus 7 is -3. And then whatever goes inside those bars becomes positive. So once I get one number inside, I just make that number positive, whatever it is. If it's already positive, it stays positive. So it ends up being +3. Okay, so now the 97 goes in there. So now it's square root, so remember this means square root of 3 plus 97. And then the rules are I have to do everything inside first. Okay, inside parentheses, inside the square root, inside the absolute value. Anything inside I always do first. 3 plus 97 is 100. And now I got to think square root of 100. What number do I multiply twice to get to 100? That'd be 10. Okay? Okay, so you guys still need to do this one. Okay, but I helped you figure out these two. All right, now this one is pretty much just like the first one. They're very similar. I need to take that 2 and I plug it into x. So I'm basically going to, instead of the x, I put parentheses. I put minus 2 cubed. And now I need to figure out negative 2 cubed, which remember, that means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. I multiply it 3 times, and then I add 10, okay, to whatever that number is. Now this one here, okay, remember that you're going to solve this equation, but what I have to do here is I have to multiply all this out. Now this is just like yesterday's notes. If you guys remember, we had a problem like this where we had 2 numbers times 2 numbers. What did we do? We multiplied that out using a box. So I'm going to actually set up a box over here to multiply out the left side of this equation. Okay, so I put the 4x minus 5 on one side, and I put the x minus 1 on another side, and then I'm going to multiply 4x times x. Okay, that's 4x squared. And then 4x times minus 1, that's negative 4x. X times minus 5 is negative 5x. Negative 5 times negative 1, that's positive 5. Okay, so now remember, I start with the first number, 4x squared. And then these two we add up together. Okay, so negative 5 plus negative 4x, which is negative 9x. And then the 5. So we put plus 5. Okay, now the right side, I just bring it down. The 4x squared plus 8x plus 4. All right, now what I need to do is we need to combine the terms that are like each other, okay? So let's start with the first number. The 4x squared is going to go with 4x squared. And remember, what we like to do is we like to try to cancel the x's on this side and bring them to the left. Anything that's a number, we're going to try to bring to the right, okay? All right, so now the 9, or the negative 9x, that combines with the 8x. And then lastly, the 5 will combine with the 4. All right, so starting with the 5. Okay, remember numbers, I want to cancel them on the left and bring them to the right. So if it's positive 5, I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, that will cancel this one. Then I have nothing but x's left, so I'm going to cancel the next number, which would be the 8x. It's positive 8x, so I'm going to subtract 8x. That cancels it from the right. And then I also have 4x squared. Okay, I want to cancel the x's on the right, so I'm also going to cancel this one. It's positive 4x squared. That means I'll subtract 4x squared, okay, from both sides. And notice I'm basically subtracting 4 minus 4 on both sides, so those both will cancel out. Okay, so that gets rid of that square that kind of made the problem a little complex looking, but now I've kind of simplified it a little bit more and gotten rid of that. Okay, so starting with this, I've got negative 9 minus 8 x, that is going to be negative 17x once I add those up. And then on the right, I've got 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. Okay, and then my last step here is to divide by negative 17. And that becomes 1. And so now x equals, well, first that's negative divided by negative, so this will become positive. But I can't divide 17 into 1. And so that means it's going to be a fraction, since the number on the bottom is bigger. And I can't divide anything into these two numbers, so I basically just keep it as a fraction. And there's my final answer. Okay? All right, now for this next one, what I want you to do is look in yesterday's notes for a problem just like this. But remember, to get rid of the fraction, we multiply both sides. Okay, so here it's 5. I want to cancel that 5 out first. Let's move that over, and then we're going to deal with the fraction. So here, minus 5 on both sides. That cancels out. And now I've got 3 over 4x equals negative 7 minus 5, which is negative 12. Now remember, to get rid of the fraction, we need to multiply the denominator on both sides. So I multiply the 4, which is the denominator, on both sides. And then that cancels. And then I'm left with 3x equals negative 12 times 4, which is negative 48. And then the last step is you're going to divide. So divide by 3. And then we get x equals negative 48 divided by 3, which is negative 16. Okay? All right, so really, the only thing you guys got left to complete here is those graphs, and then these two problems here, which you just need to finish. Okay? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow.